fans, and welcome to another episode of Silver Screams. Today, because we're filming in the daytime.
This
episode, you don't know this, you're in the future. We are talking about Scream Queen Season 2, Episode 2, Warts and All.
I feel really bad for Chanel number 5.
Yeah!
She was on point this episode.
Because it reminded me a lot of the episode where the Chanels just beat the crap out of those guys for... I mean, they did it for no reason, but for being misogynists, basically.
Oh, yeah.
And so when she erupted, it was really cool.
It was beautiful.
It was.
She broke a plate over a guy's head. Sat back down. I'm sorry, I overreact sometimes.
Since I stopped taking my meds.
Yeah, because they were all definitely on meds in the asylum.
Mm-hmm. They all felt great. So and Chanel number the unlikely love story of Chanel number 5 and this guy with tumors all over his body. What was his name? Trevor?
Might have been.
I think it was Trevor. But like this poor guy who makes his living writing Encyclopedia Brown fan fiction, which how do you monetize that?
I think Ryan Murphy understands how fan fiction works, but that's okay.
Encyclopedia Brown isn't part of the public domain. You can make money off of figures in the public domain, but that's why there are so many different books about Sherlock, right now.
They put Dracula in Marvel Comics.
Yeah, they do that.
He met with Dr. Doom on the moon. I kid you not.
That sounds too far-fetched for you to have just made up. So yeah, I'd buy it.
I've read it.
Well, and not to give away for anything of this season's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but yeah, you watched this past episode, right?
No.
Oh, never mind then. I was going to say something about Dracula. But basically, something in this last episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has connections to Dracula in the comics, but
yeah,
we won't go
Dracula has been in and out of comics for forever, because if you have these things in the public domain, why would you not use them?
Exactly.
Everything else has happened. Why not?
Why not? The multiverse.
In Marvel Comics, Hitler had vampires.
Well, and in Marvel Comics, there's also the Marvel Devil in the form of Mephisto, and there's a guy with a flaming skull for a head. We are not here to talk about Marvel Comics. We are here to talk about Scream Queens. And they always play it at a terrible angle because everyone in a Ryan Murphy show is a terrible person.
Oh, yeah.
But I felt real bad for Chanel number 5 because she actually did seem to like this guy in her own kind of terrible way, because she was only really interested in him because, underneath all that, he's hot.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change the fact that I still think they would have made a decent couple.
Yeah.
And that apparently he had found this vital piece of information for who the Green Meanie was.
I love that for this, for season 1, we just didn't have any idea. We didn't have all the pieces. We got, no one seemed to have all of the pieces, and it took forever to put them together. Whereas for this one, 3 different people have pertinent information or a lot of the pieces, and they just either won't hand them over or die before they can say anything. So this is evidently not difficult information to come across, but given our group of protagonists, it's going to take forever.
Well, and it's entirely possible that the person who committed the murders back in 1986 and the person committing them now are 2 different people.
That's possible.
Because whoever it was back in 1986 was strong enough to lift Jerry O'Connell up with a machete. And yeah, that's very strong. That's very big, good upper body strength.
Honestly, pie in the sky, weird episode 2 predictions. In 1986 it was mom, and now it's kid all grown up.
I'd buy that.
That's what I'm going to go with.
I'd buy that.
It's probably not, because that is the really obvious conclusion at this point, because...
Occam's razor right now, though.
It is.
I mean, that's, again, the logical thing.
But that's too easy for a show like this.
It is also possible that he survived and it was him that committed the murder. Him being the guy who was left for dead in 1985. It is possible he survived and then, came back the following year, committed this hospital-wide massacre.
Yeah, killed all of the staff, which meant that there were probably some patients who died overnight as well.
Who died as a result.
Then again, they would have died anyway because none of the staff were doing their job. The one guy doing coke and going, maybe I shouldn't do this. I am on duty.
I am still on
I
call.
am on call. I'm just like that moment of, oh, you might have a shred of responsibility and you're dead.
Again, 4th best hospital in the city with
Out of
4
4.
hospitals.
Out of 4.
And obviously there are chunks of the story that we are still missing. You know, we didn't know in the previous episode that Jerry O'Connell and the entire hospital already got revenge on them a year later.
Yeah.
That was not information we were made privy to. Yeah, they're super dead. And here we have another story. The reason that Dean Munch started this whole hospital wasn't out of some like care for American healthcare reform and wasn't out of the goodness of her heart. It was purely selfish motivations.
Of course.
She's sick, she doesn't know what it is, and wants to find a cure.
You called that last episode, didn't you?
I said that it was somebody, I think I said that like it's somebody she cares about is ill and she wants to save them.
She cares about
herself. But like much like with this previous story, we don't have all the pieces yet. I believe her to an extent. I definitely believe she's sick, especially with the conclusion that they came to at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
But as far, I still feel like there's more to the story that she's not letting on.
There's gotta be.
But I mean, kind of a nice nod to a horror movie that came out, I want to say it was last year, it was either last year or 2 years ago, called We Are What We Are. And it's a story about a cannibalistic family. Huh. And that disease that Dean Munch has gets brought up as
it's an actual thing.
It's an actual
I thought
thing.
they made it up for this.
No, it's a real thing.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, again, very, very interesting sort of thing, putting her in New Guinea and giving her this disease. And I'm also wondering if maybe we're not going to get, like, zombies and stuff like that, because if we're talking about, like, New Guinea, it's only, like, a hop, skip, and a jump away from the South American countries who, like, where voodoo and everything was still a thing, if we're talking about the early era of voodoo in cinema history, which
I don't think this show is going to quite go there because we've stayed firmly away from the supernatural.
Yeah.
Even that jump scare at the end was, Chad, you snuck into the asylum and you scared me and it wasn't funny.
I just wanted to bring it up because we had a commenter last time who brought up that maybe what they're going for is a Universal horror movie monster set of homages with like the Wolfman and Dracula and things like that. So maybe. And even Trevor in this episode, like, he kind of looks like the Thing, right?
That was actually what I was thinking of. Like, Fantastic Four, the Thing.
Not John Carpenter's the Thing. But you bring up...
I couldn't think of John Carpenter, I went with this.
You bring up Chad, because for a hot second in this episode, we see the Red Devil again.
And we both kind of went...
I'm like, I missed you.
I wore a great costume.
I like the Red Devil costume a lot better than the Green Meanie costume. And it's not that the Green Meanie costume... Winter agrees. It's not that the Green Meanie costume is bad. It's just, like I said, because of the horns, it looks just like the monsters from the Goosebumps stories.
The Green Meanie costume looks over-designed, almost. Like, it's a little try-hard. Whereas the Red Devil costume, anyone could get it because it was the mascot of the school, and that's what made it so smart. And it was a very simple costume, and very, I hesitate to use the word iconic.
It's sleek and simple, yeah.
But it's the Scream idea, where it's this costume that anyone can get their hands on, and it's very simple, and it's very recognizable.
Yeah, and there is something to that in terms of over-designing something, because the Green Meanie costume, it's got the horns, it's got the cape, it's got the scales,
the ooze.
and the ooze, and like I said, it's not bad, and like it definitely looks.
I think it's over-designed.
It definitely looks intimidating in the right lighting, though, which this episode excelled at lighting and camera choices.
Whoever directed this episode, oh my god, direct a movie.
Hella good job. And I even like the green motif with the green lighting and even the green laser in this episode.
And then we got the red lighting when the Red Devil showed up because it was all the night light. Like, we thought it was a dream.
Yeah, it looked so ethereal. We thought it was a dream sequence until Chad actually unmasked himself. And
I still thought it was a dream. And then she brought up, he snuck into the asylum to scare me. And I went, oh.
Which explains the jump scare at the end of the last season, which everybody just kind of didn't address until now, which I like. And yeah, but yeah, comparing the two designs, and it's something you see a lot with iconic horror movie monsters. A lot of times minimalism is the most effective kind of way to go about it. That's one of the reasons why the Babadook works as well as it does, because it's a very simple design. It's this guy with pointy hands, hat, weird smile, and that's all it is.
And I mean,
Ghost face.
Bela Lugosi's Dracula had a cape and a widow's peak.
Yeah. Ghost face, yeah, it's just black and white and very minimal.
Yeah.
And the Red Devil works the same, in a very similar way. It's black, it's red, it's not
It's a
overly
silhouette. It's something that we're all familiar with. So we're not getting used to this idea of, it's a brand new monster. It's like, oh, it's a devil. This is what we got.
Yeah, it's not overly complex. And not to mention that I feel like the Red Devil had a much better introduction than the Green Meanie did, because the Red Devil, his first kill in season 1 was the wonderful texting back and forth scene
Was that
with
the
Ariana
first one?
Grande. Yeah, that was the first of like the main character deaths.
Oh, I thought like in general at all, because I could have sworn he killed someone else before that.
He might have killed somebody else before that, but like that was like the big one in the first episode, and the Green Meanies is just decapitating a person who couldn't fight back. That's significantly less impressive.
Yeah.
At least in terms of how the scene was constructed and everything like that. That being said, like I said, the Green Meanie, when shot correctly, does look very intimidating, and the new costume is something we'll get used to. What I'm waiting for is for someone bad, like Hester, you know, who gets brought into this hospital because terrible choices are a go-to.
It's good.
Somebody steals the Red Devil costume, and they go head-to-head with the Green Meanie in costume.
I want it.
I want it.
Oh, I didn't realize I wanted that until just now.
Honestly, I wouldn't have thought that was a thing, because I thought we were done with the Red Devil entirely. But like, how great would that be?
Chad still has a costume, and he's using it for... He's an idiot.
Which, the only reason he's bothering Chanel at all is because he only wants what he can't have. Like, I'm like, you were pretty into Denise at the end of last season. And, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure the only reason you want Chanel is for, one, she's still hot, and two, she's into someone else. What's wrong with you jackass?
I loved the shower scene so much. That was so funny.
This is an employee-only shower. What the heck?
Before I make this any more homoerotic, I don't think you can.
That is a terrible misogynistic thing. But Chanel's worth it.
I'm like, that's terrible misogynistic, and I'm sitting here going, but I'll do it anyway, and lo and behold.
So yeah, basically Chad's whole purpose in this episode was basically a giant dick measuring contest with John Stamos' character, whose name I forget.
And to have money.
Yes. But like, but so much, the other purpose that he serves is being able to bring in a private detective to actually give us the origin of the Hand, who...
That guy from The Office.
Yeah. And so
Kevin.
it is in fact a serial killer's hand. Somebody...
And also a squash player. He was a squash player who would get angry at his opponents for losing, believing that they had disrespected the game, and then kill them for losing.
What? Kind of odd motivation.
There's always going to be a winner and a loser.
I was going to say, do you think he ever tied with anybody? Would he have to kill himself? Would he have to kill them and then kill himself?
The people he tied with probably got to walk away. If he ever lost, it would have been like, racket, seppuku.
Could you imagine just with a freaking racquetball racket?
Well, he
So
had
dumb.
the blade.
Yeah, it acted as a
racket, so-
switchblade, which, I mean, points for ingenuity.
How many hundreds of people did they say?
600. He murdered 600 squash players. Which, I had never heard of the game of squash until this episode.
Oh, my dad used to play it.
We always just had racquetball in my hometown.
They're very similar.
They look similar.
They're very similar. And so it's just like 600 squash players. Like, are there that many squash players in the area?
I was wondering. I was like, are there even that many squash players in America? Not anymore.
Well, not in America, just in the general vicinity of where they are.
Not anymore.
Yeah, I know, right?
But
like, nope. 200 people before they caught him.
How?
Usually within like 3 or 4, they start putting together.
You start
a common
noticing a pattern.
Especially if they, we traveled to this city and then disappeared. Like 600. Ryan Murphy.
Well, and it's also an interesting...
Ryan Murphy is the A Wizard Did It of this show.
Well, and it's also, so to speak, pardon the pun, it's also an interesting choice to show this hand so early. Because, like, we could have played with the idea of John Stamos being the Green Meanie, but, like, he's got a completely separate thing going on with this idle hand scenario that seems like it has nothing to do with the Green Meanie stuff at all.
Just because it doesn't have anything to do with the Green Meanie stuff doesn't stop him from being a Green Meanie.
Or being, like, a killer in some other capacity or whatever.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's a Green Meanie and the hand is just totally down with it.
I don't know. I tend to think that this is something completely separate, and that's my one complaint about this episode. And maybe it was just editing choices, but some of it seemed a little disjointed.
A little bit.
And I'm sure that just meant that a lot was left on the cutting room floor. But, like, yeah, this episode seemed a little disjointed. That being said, again, still
it was beautiful,
very well shot, absolutely gorgeous.
That continuous scene at the beginning that went for like what, 1.5 minutes?
Just, and like, whoever this director and cinematographer are, like, they clearly love the spinning shots. They clearly love we're gonna do a full revolution around the room. Oh, yeah, we're gonna have characters walking in a circle too, and we're gonna circle around them simultaneously too.
It was just like, this is really good.
It was really well choreographed.
Yeah.
Very well constructed.
Very impressed.
Bravo.
Also,
bravo.
our new detective's an idiot.
Call the police! No, wait, they're morons. Don't do that.
Do you have to have finished high school to be a detective? No, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Okay, makes sense. And then, not to mention, again, Dean Munch just being a general superstar, and which is why I'm very confused at the fact that she has now contracted this terminal disease. Because she was damn near unkillable in the last season.
Well, she still beat that like, they made this thing of saying, yeah, her walk is different and she has headaches and this and that and the other, and she still beat the crap out of the Green Meanie when it went after her.
And again, it's consistent with what we've seen in the past because she kicked the crap out of two Red Devils.
Admittedly, now that we know who was in the Red Devil costumes, this is not a surprise.
It's not a surprise, but they still had weapons, and this guy had a machete. He might, again, assuming it's the same person.
And
but
using the folder to disarm the machete was just like...
It's just like, and like, yeah, she's not the best person either. Let's be honest. She's definitely got blood on her hands, but like, it's super satisfying to see somebody like Dean Munch just kick the crap out of a masked killer. It's just great.
I mean, she's an awful human being, but I feel like we kind of need her for this series. She's this weird linchpin in a way that no one else is.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is due to casting. I feel like if it wasn't Jamie Lee Curtis, like, she wouldn't be nearly as likable or funny. But yeah, and
we've kind of forgiven her for murdering her ex. Let's be real. We've actually kind of forgiven her for that.
And like putting an innocent woman away forever.
We shouldn't be forgiving her for that.
No.
She is entertaining to watch.
And I kind of liked Zayday in this episode playing detective, and then, coming to the conclusion that Dean Munch is the one responsible, and then when she finds out that no, it's because Dean Munch has this disease, immediately goes back to being very supportive, and I really do feel like Zayday is Dean Munch's best hope, and like probably best source as like a confidant and everything like that. So still doesn't super explain why she brought the Chanels in. Not unless she's just kind of like, well, there's things going on, and if I'm gonna die, I might as well take them down with me.
I'm gonna say bodies.
Yeah, cannon fodder maybe. And Chamberlain's a little suspicious right now because he just happened to obtain all this very convenient information from the library.
Chamberlain is I don't know.
Yeah.
We've seen so little of him that on one hand it's easy to suspect him because of that, because we've seen him so little, but on the other hand it's like it's too easy to suspect.
Yeah, exactly.
At this point we're just looking at like,
well, I'm just suspicious of like men who take a liking to Zayday right now, because last season it was just like so I'm suspicious of you right now, Chamberlain. It's fine.
Wouldn't it be just her luck to be kidnapped by the Green Meanie and like serenade?
Come on! Why does this keep happening to me?
She'd be so angry.
Well, speaking of that episode last season, where she got kidnapped by the Red Devil and like got taken to the lair and everything, that episode was very Silence of the Lambs. So was this episode. This episode, Hester has gone full Hannibal Lecter, and even the idea of giving Dean Munch this disease that only cannibals get by consuming, I think it was
infected brain tissue.
That, yeah. But yeah, so there's like a very low-key cannibalism motif going on. And I don't know if that's just for this episode or if that, because Hester has become this Hannibal Lecter character, or caricature.
Yeah.
If that's going to be kind of an overarching thing at some point.
I love that her demands are like these old cosmetics that haven't been made for like 10 years.
And I like that the Chanels knew that they had been discontinued.
Well, of course
for a long time. These pictures, they're my memories. They're the only view I have now. So how long until she's brought into the hospital?
A couple episodes, give or take.
Yeah, I could see that. And yeah, I there's not much to say on it, just that, like, I'm not sure how she has all this information without just...
Yeah, what the heck?
Without
Did
either...
give her a paper?
Without either being semi-involved, knowing the person who was involved before she got put away. I mean, they could have... Who knows? Maybe the person who is doing this was in the same insane asylum that she grew up in.
Could have been.
Like, that might be how she knows all this, and like that they're keeping in contact with
Mom's
one another.
in the asylum, and so she grew up with the baby, and that's the...
I mean, like I said, it's a lot of...
Do you think the Chanels would have met them?
Maybe.
Having been in that same asylum.
That is actually a distinct possibility.
And it might also be why Chanel number 5 wasn't killed.
Yeah, just like, oh hey, I knew you. Okay, bye. See ya.
I just, on one hand, I keep getting a phrase, and then my brain goes, no.
Goodbye. On the one hand, crickets. On the other hand, John Stamos.
On the other, yeah, okay. That was pretty good, actually. Good pun.
Ew. Ugh, I'm disgusted with myself. Ugh.
What I'm getting at is the victims for these first 2 episodes have been
patients.
I was going to say my brain went, guests. Brain, you're unhelpful today. Thank you.
Patience.
Stop it. Yes, they've been patients. And on one hand, I get it. You only have so many people, and they're all fairly important. We didn't start out with a college campus full of people that you can murder and an entire sorority's worth of girls.
This is a small private hospital with very few patients and very few staff.
Very few named staff.
Yeah.
We have a bunch more NPCs, extras, running
around now, yeah.
On the other hand, I'm kind of ticked that it's just like, we're going to bring in someone, and we're going to either cure them or get close to curing them. And you know they'll be dead by the end of the episode.
Yeah, it did not take me long to go, that guy's gonna
He's a dead
die.
man.
He's... especially when they started playing up the romance angle. Like,
He's
like,
super
aw.
dead. And it's, on one hand, I get it. You only have so many cast members. You don't want to start killing off the known ones too early. On the other hand, when do you start doing that?
Yeah, because if we go the first few episodes with all of the Chanels and Zayday and Dean Munch and Hester and Chad and Denise all having plot armor, so to speak, as you would put it, like, how long until we can start anticipating that they'll die? I mean, to Scream's credit, not to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen season 2 of Scream yet, but Scream 2 decided, season 2 of Scream, decided to start killing off survivors in the first episode.
Well, Scream 2 also decided to kill off people who had survived the first movie, so that was a thing.
Randy. Poor Randy. But yeah, so like they did that early on to be like, hey, reoccurring characters can die too, even though I'm pretty sure not very many of them did.
Yeah, correct. So yeah, season 1 for Scream Queens, no one was safe, and they made that very, very clear. This season, it seems like we have a couple of people where they're not going anywhere. Zayday's going to be around for a while. Dean Munch is going to be around for a while. There are a few too many people with plot threads going to kill them off anytime soon. And we didn't introduce enough people at the get-go to be able to bring them in and say, we have a little bit of personality, and now they're going to die. So it's just almost I hesitate to say monster of the week thing. Disease of the week, patient of the week, something of the week. They're going to come in,
Victim
they
of
will,
the week,
thank you. They're going to come in, they will not be there by the end of the episode, and it's kind of annoying.
Well, and the bad part is, too, and this is kind of why we were thinking anthology might be better, having to build up everybody from the ground up again, as opposed to bringing in the new characters, because we care. I like John Stamos and I like Taylor Lautner, like as comedic actors. I think they're great. I like Kirstie Alley, but the thing is, their characters. We still know so little about their characters that I haven't spent enough time with any of them to really care or really get what they're up to.
Taylor Lautner was great the first episode, and then this one he got nothing.
He's just kind of there. Yeah, he was so great with Chanel number 3.
I like to think about all the people who died in this room.
It was beautiful, but yeah, we don't have much to work with any of them. All we know about Kirstie Alley is that she likes stealing pills and that she doesn't like the Chanels and eavesdrops on her boss.
And she said some very murdery things. I
need
to know where they are
schedules.
and when they'll be alone and when this and that and the other. So I want to make sure they can do the workload. Wouldn't she need to do the same thing for me? Sure.
I'm disinclined to acquiesce to your request.
Yes, pretty much. I'll find someone else who can help me. Like, I feel like we got a completely different character this episode.
Yeah,
her.
I mean,
she did a 180.
Maybe it was just because she seemed on top of her. She seemed
really
on top of
did.
her game last episode. Like, don't mess with her.
No
and here
nonsense.
she's just like pills, 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 and that was all we got.
If you can't help me, I'll find someone who can.
Clean those up. Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I think quite a bit was left on the cutting room floor for this episode. Because, I mean, that happens in TV. And that, again, probably is one of the reasons why this episode seems so disjointed. But the amount of time it went from Zayday being like, well, I'm not comfortable, like, helping you with your request because that means the information you provided was a lie. It did not take long for them to go from, like, well, of course I'm not going to help you, to... that sort of thing. It seemed like there were a few beats missing in some of these scenes. And like I said, cut for time. I get it.
I mean,
it
you're
happens.
allowed 48 minutes. There's only so much you can do.
There really is. Especially when you really want to get those shots in there of like these big sweeping moments and everything like that. They're cool, but they take up time.
Yeah.
And a lot of times dialogue can sometimes suffer as a result. But yeah, and again, that whole really great ethereal scene of Chanel walking around right before the Red Devil came in, that also seemed kind of choppy. Like, there was some bits missing, or maybe it was intentionally meant to feel disjointed. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know.
That's also part of why we thought it was a dream.
Yeah, like I said, intentional, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, there seemed to be a few beats missing for her character in particular this episode.
Number 3 didn't really do much. Chad's friend.
Yeah, he was just there to scream, which it was funny.
But that
was it.
He was a patient that didn't die, and they're still in the process of treating him. So it's a reason for Chad to stick around for a chunk of time. And Chad's talking about, I'm going to become a doctor now. Well, I play the long game. Oh, God help us.
Yeah, and again, Chad's always been a pretty suspicious character, and he's definitely not a good guy, but he's too dumb to pull off any master schemes. Yeah. Like, he literally thought Boone was a ghost last season, and he wanted to help his best friend get to heaven by banging Zayday, because that's the only way the ghost could get to heaven. It's like,
Boone.
Yeah, you're not a threat.
So
it's fine.
think we can cross him off of the Red Devil list, but that doesn't mean he's not going to cause problems, and that doesn't mean he can't potentially get killed.
Yeah. Like I said, I want someone to steal the Red Devil costume from him and fight the Green Meanie. I want it so bad. Ugh. And again, we don't know how many Green Meanies there are. We don't know what their motives are right at the moment. And yeah, since we do have the idle hand stuff going on, maybe there is something slightly supernatural going on this season. Who knows?
What I'd love to see once we hit like season 5 or 6 of this, because who even knows if that'll happen. But I'd love to see a season where we bring in all of the previous people who have played the monsters, who have been the monsters, and they start getting killed off one by another monster.
I want it so bad.
It would be so weird.
Oh, it would be great.
But that's something that's going to require the show to go on almost as long as Supernatural, to have a big enough cast to be able to do that. But you have our big ones that we've seen for Scream Queens for, again, hypothetical 5, 6, 7, 8, God knows how many seasons. I know Supernatural is 13 seasons. No show should go that long. Why?
Well, and the other thing is that, like, you can only do so many variations on the same costume before it gets old. And even this, right now, we're like, the Red Devil's so much cooler than the Green Meanie. Like...
The Green Meanie's over-designed. The next one's going to be blue.
Ooh!
And then we can have a purple people eater. Have one eye and one horn. Well, we went the... Wow!
You just keep losing the words. What is in this?
It's iced tea! That's all!
Wink.
It's 3 p.m.
Is it from Long Island?
No! It's from Vaughn's. It's 3 p.m. and I plan on driving today. I can't words. It's great. Happy weekend.
What was your point?
You have an asylum with all of the people who have been previous monsters, and you have the ones that we've seen in previous seasons of Scream Queens, and then you have all these people who are like, I dressed up once to kill someone, or I accidentally killed someone at a Halloween party, where it's like, you were kind of the lower grade monsters. You weren't quite, and you know, they're the ones that get
I just
killed
work at Party City, guys. I'm not even supposed to be here.
I worked at Party City, and I knocked over a ladder, and it hit my coworker, and she's in a coma.
She's not dead. She woke up like 2 hours later, but still.
I'm still here for some untenable reason.
I just want to go home. I'm really sorry.
And that person's the first one to die.
Why? I didn't do anything. It was an accident. Okay, so I feel like we've touched on like a good portion of the episode.
And my weird AU fan fiction.
Our wonderful AUs relating to the season. If we're talking about like straight up predictions for like overarching stuff, I definitely feel like your theory about mom and then the kid probably sound and or asylum inmate as well. Like, I feel like those are the two most logical things, and whether or not they coincide, we'll see. We'll see, but I
That's
honestly,
about all I got.
I feel like those are the two most likely scenarios for this.
Probably.
The only other option I can think of is that somebody knows that Dean Munch is sick and that's why she's doing this, who purposely wants to sabotage her attempts at a cure.
But they also did just straight up try to kill her today.
Yeah,
that
too. That too. So yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All in all, good episode, if not a little disjointed.
Fun.
But yeah, really good.
Beautiful.
Really fun. Yeah,
so
gorgeous.
Well shot.
Anyway, Katie, where can people go if they want to find you?
On Twitter and YouTube at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. If you want to see us react to not horror things, those all live on that YouTube channel. Words.
And I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin. I want to know, what is your guys' favorite old school horror monster that you want to see incorporated into the show?
I want to see you design the costume for season 3.
Yeah! I like it.
Give us your best serial killer monster costume.
Blue Barracudas! Wait, that's something else.
I wasn't kidding about Purple People Eater. They will never get the rights from Sheb Wooley's estate, and I don't even care.
It was a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater.
That's the joke. That's the
Please
joke.
send us your fan.
Sure looks strange to me.
You guys can follow. Did I already say the Silver Scream stuff?
No,
you guys
didn't.
can follow Silver Screams at silver_screams on Twitter and Instagram. Like us on Facebook. All that jazz. Folks, thank you so much for watching. We will see you all next time. Was a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater.
Pigeon-toed, rock and roll, flying purple people eater. Me wear short shorts, feeling purple people eater.
Sure looks strange to me.
One horn.